Hello. I hope you're having a wonderful and blessed evening. Someone suggested today to spend the next 3 days saying what I'm grateful for, and I'll start with that. I am grateful for the truth, for justice, and the American way. I am so grateful. And I know this is more than 3. I'm so grateful for the Lord and the real love that He has for each of His children. No matter what your race, background, no matter what your economic level, that there's a God in heaven above that created you specifically to be here. Don't you doubt it for a minute. You have every right to your peace and happiness, to be able to pursue the things in this life that you would like to pursue. Of course you do. You are very precious in the eyes of God. This is not only an American right, this is a God-given right. And because of that, you don't even worry. Just embrace the person that you are. You deserve to be here. You deserve to be loved no matter who you are. You deserve it. And I think the times where it gets harder is when someone goes against a good person, anyone, a human being, a fellow human being. This is a problem. You have to recognize that each and every one of us have rights in this world, and not one of us really stands above another, even though some like to believe that's true, but it's not true. We all have the right to live freely, without abuse, without somebody coming in behind us to try to take our rights away and hurt us. No one has the right to do that. And, you know, and it's come to my attention very personally lately how the law is using their power to abuse me as well. And you know who you are and why and what you're doing. Let me tell you a story. Back in 2014, I had 2 sons that were on missions for the church, to preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it was a really hard time for me personally because, you know, I really love my children and I miss them so much. It's just like I felt like my world had been stripped away. I mean, their missions overlapped and they were gone at the same time. And they served great missions. They did what we all believed was the right thing for them to do. And they did it and persevered when it got really tough too. They did that. It's come to, well, while they were gone, let me just say this. While they were gone, I learned that I had breast cancer. And the way I learned I had breast cancer was actually not from people that were alive, because, you know, I was single, you know, nobody could tell me, you know, you've got a lump, you need to go get that checked. I mean, I knew that there was a lump, but I just thought it was fibrocystic, and we didn't have breast cancer in our family. So there was no reason why I would just pursue to go find out what that was right away. But then over a period of time, the messages I was receiving was getting more and more urgent that I needed to go and get that lump checked. And a lot of things happened along the way. This guardian angel that was truly coming every single day to tell me to go to the doctor. And on the day that I even went to the doctor finally, I didn't even mention it. I forgot all about it because I didn't really think anything was wrong with me. And what was bothering me is I was getting a sharp pain in my ear, like an ear infection, right? And long story short, I called the doctor back into the examination room and I said, oh, I forgot to show you something. because my guardian angel was almost yelling at me, go get him, and I did. I went and got him. And when he saw it, his eyes, you know, they got as big as saucers. And he was very concerned. And he said, you need to go get that done today. Now, I've told you this story in videos past. It's, you know, this happened to me. Turns out I wasn't able to have a biopsy that same day because I had taken Excedrin with caffeine in it. And so they told me I had to wait for a week, which was really, really hard to do. And during that time, I was home pacing the floor thinking, you know, no, how could this be, right? I was looking on the Mayo Clinic and trying to figure out, you know, if this thing really was cancer, right? And so I came across some things, you know, that pretty much described the lump that I had. And so I get up and I start pacing back and forth. I'm pacing back and forth and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, do I have this thing? You know, I'm freaking out, walking back and forth. And these people, these spirits, and I imagined there was like 3 or 4 of them that were saying, yes, you have this thing. But I mean, the hair was raising on my arms. And so I was just about to get on my knees and ask Heavenly Father, do I? And that's when they yelled the loudest that I did. And so I knew I had it. And by the time, you know, the week was up and that I went back and they were able to do the biopsy, I was in a very melancholy, very silent state at that time. And I had asked the doctor that was there to get the biopsy. I looked up at him and I asked him, do I have this thing? And he looked at me and he said, I am so sorry. And so that was when the tears started rolling down my cheeks. And so once I left, you know, you go through a period of waiting because they have to send the testing to a cancer board of doctors who decide what you have, what type of cancer you have, what stage you're in. And then after a period of time, you'll go in and get a PET scan to see how far, if it's traveled anywhere, right? But before I had this, any contact from these doctors, I had to wait 3 weeks. And it was a very harrowing, very difficult 3 weeks. I mean, you can't even imagine, you know, being afraid for your life, you know, wondering, you know, if you're going to live or die, you know, if it was already over and you just had to wait for the end, which was almost unbearable. You don't really want to do that, right? Well, it was really hard to wait those 3 weeks. But when I finally did the PET scan and they looked to see if it had traveled anywhere, fortunately it had just gone to my lymph nodes under this arm. And so and there were lumps in my lymph nodes as well. And so what they had decided to do was to do the surgery first and the chemo later. And so I went through the full-blown thing. You know, I had multiple surgeries. When I went to the doctor for the earache, when I, you know, and told him that I had a lump in the first place, turned out I had a lump right here. And it was like just giving me stabbing pains. I had that taken out. And when they took it out, and I don't know if you've ever noticed that my mouth sometimes is lopsided, or it's lopsided when I speak, or maybe even when I sing, because he nicked one of the cranial nerves. I haven't had a stroke. Some friends thought maybe I'd had a stroke, but I haven't. They took out the tumor and they nicked, you know, my cranial nerve. So anyway, multiple surgeries, multiple. I mean, okay. So after that part, and you know, and I started the chemotherapy, they really let me have it, man. They just really let me have it. You know, lost all my hair. you know, it was really tough. I'll just say that. And during this time, my son, one of them, had finally come home from his mission, and he helped shave my head. And, you know, I ended up getting esophagitis from the chemo, and I couldn't swallow hardly anything at all. Went to South Carolina because my dad was dying of lung cancer at that time. And it was just really tough. At the time where you want to feel very feminine and very womanly. Not only do I have to have, you know, mastectomies and losing my hair and having them take this tumor out, and on my mouth was kind of like this. You look like an alien. You don't just feel like an alien. Oh, you look like an alien. And you don't look too good because of the chemo either, and you're really sick. Really sick. But when I had that PET scan, you know, I was laying on that table before I knew what I had, for sure, what type of breast cancer I had. I was thinking about my family that had died young, and there was a lot of them too, that died really young. And when I was laying there, I was about to ask Heavenly Father, you know, it was like I didn't feel comfortable asking if I could live because all these other people died, and I didn't feel like it would be right to ask if I could live if they had to die early, right? You know, I just felt almost guilty to even think that I could ask for my life. So before I could even say a word, I just said, Father. And he said to me so loudly and profoundly, this is not your time, and everything is going to be okay. Exactly, verbatim, what I was told. And it boomed in my head. So as I was going through these treatments, and every time it got really hard, and it got hard a lot. For the most part, I was able to say, this is not, I mean, and I knew it in my heart too. He said that to me, and boy, there was no doubt about it. And so I would just say, this is not your time, and everything is going to be okay. And as hard as it did get, I believed. I really did. So finally, fast forward, you know, I'm finally done with treatment. I had reconstructive surgery. I'm proud to say they did a fairly good job. And I took some money that we were given from the nuclear Department of Nuclear Services, you know, that was given to us, you know, and I took my portion, and I went to Italy, which was a dream of mine. I'd already been to Greece and to Santorini and all the islands and Athens, but I really wanted to go to Pompeii. I wanted to see that so much. And I made it. I finally got to see Pompeii, and you know, it was a very interesting sight because even though there's been volcanoes, of course, before, you know, just the way this one was unique. It was different than any other volcanic eruption that we know of, really, where when these people died, that their bodies were encased in ash at the very moments of their death, which is, it's painful to see. You know, it is a graveyard there. But spiritually, you know, when you see these ancient things, you know that biblical things, like when I was up to the Acropolis and I walked up and, you know, where the apostles walked, you know, it was like it brings it home for you when you see these ancient things. It makes it to where the Bible comes alive, or history comes alive. It's no longer just a matter of faith. You feel it, you know it inside your gut, you know that these things had to have happened. So anyway, I had a wonderful time, but my purse was stolen, you know, when I was in Batapaya, or we went to the beach and my purse was stolen. Took all my medicine, my passports, everything. Didn't take Anna's stuff. We locked everything in her camper, and somebody busted into her camper. They took my things. They didn't take hers. We went to the police and all that, and it was close to the time that I was supposed to come home anyway. But it was really scary too, not being able to come home easily. I went to Naples and got another passport. But anyway, when I got home, and I'd say about 8 months later, I went to do a checkup with Dr. Bott in American Fork. And he told me that he was seeing spots, that there were spots on my spine. And so they did a biopsy. They sent me to the hospital, Utah Valley Hospital in Provo. And they scraped the area and then they tested it and said, sure enough, there were living cells. And that I had now metastatic breast cancer and that it had come back. And so, of course, as you can imagine, I was devastated. I didn't understand because the Lord had told me, this is not your time and everything's going to be okay. And so it really didn't make any sense. And it really messed me up because I didn't know what to do with myself. I was upset and scared because, it just didn't make any sense. That was so different than what the Lord had told me. And so, and I know that there's a lot of women that go through this disease, and then when it comes back, they get very depressed. And they may not do things the way they normally would because they're scared. They're worried about their lives. They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, I even got a second opinion, and they said, well, if they told you 3 to 5 years, that's what you've got, right? And Dr. Bott was renowned. I mean, they would never, doubt what he would say because he was a true expert in the area, right? So I went along with that, but then they wanted me to get on Verzenio. And so I think it was Verzenio first. And that made me very sick. It made me really sick and not feel well at all. And so I couldn't take that. And so then they put me on Kisqali. And it was pretty much the same thing. I wasn't reacting to it properly. And then I had this feeling deep in my heart, do not put that pill in your mouth. Do not put that pill in your mouth. Now, I'm not speaking for anyone else. It might be a different circumstance for you. But for me, I knew in my gut that I was not supposed to take that medication. And I told the doctor, I said, I don't like the way it makes me feel. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. I'm not going to worry about it. And I already had told myself before, if it came back after all I went through with chemotherapy, that there's no chance. I didn't want to take chemo again. I just didn't. If it was my time, it was my time. So, but anyway, I would keep my appointments, and so they would do injections in my stomach and different treatments other than the regular treatment, which was also fairly traumatizing. And anyway, I was told, that I would be permanently on Medicare, that I would be getting disability until I died. I had several doctors confirm that. I even went to Huntsman. He agreed that I didn't need to take the metastatic breast cancer drugs until the time that it was really spreading, but that, he wasn't going to say it wasn't growing, but he didn't really say a whole lot about it at all. We just checked it. But in my mind, I was still thinking and making decisions based on not living through this, right? Not living through this. And so my whole aura and my being was off because as much as I tried to be happy, there's this thing that glooms, like, that all your hopes and dreams, everything that you wanted in your whole life, it's pretty much over, right? You're not going to make it. You're going to, you know what I mean? And as much as you try to pretend like, I'm just going to make it the best time here. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to make it the best time on earth I had till the rest of my life. I didn't want to be sad or upset. I just wanted to have fun and just be happy because I genuinely believed that, I wasn't going to have a long time, right? So long story short, somebody, I think it was an ex-husband who was an attorney, or someone, who knows, family too, could have done it, complained. Well, I learned that there were life insurance policies that they took out on me. And so they were unhappy that I was still alive, because during this time, I have an inheritance that they wanted to steal. And they thought they'd got away with this because I was supposed to die. And then when I ended up living, they all came up with this extraordinary plot to defame my character and to destroy me, so that they could look worthy to receive an inheritance. I don't know how they worked this out, and to pretend like my sibling, to pretend like she was me when she's not me. Okay? That my parents, one or both of them, are not my parent. But she's out there pretending, and my ex-husband as well, that they are me, and they are entitled to, since they can't prove that I'm dead and they can't prove that I'm crazy, now they want to make it, well, I think they wanted to prove that I was crazy, so they had this power of attorney in place. That was fake. It was all faked, because I wasn't even allowed to go to my own court hearing, because the courts didn't even do their due diligence. So I just want you to know that they somehow got the Social Security office to not send my SSDI check, and gave me no time. They've been stealing my mail, and you've heard about the mail fraud that's going on right now in the country. Well, they did not, and the thing is that your payments for SSDI is an automatic deposit. It goes right to your bank. So when I called Social Security this week, they told me that, oh, the Provo office said that you did have your change of address. I mean, I did have the change of address eons ago. And the paperwork that they sent me, it got to me, it got to me late, but it got to me like a few days before the final date that I was to get it in. So I filled everything out. Went to the post office and post dated it, made sure that it was stamped before the due date. And they lied to me when I called, saying that they don't think they've got it yet. I'm going, that's impossible, because I mailed it like almost 2 weeks ago. And there's just no way that you couldn't have it, number one. And then when I called the main office again, they told me that they said that they didn't have my address, which has nothing to do with the direct deposit. And, and plus they'd already gotten the packet from me. And today, or I guess on Friday, I received another letter saying that I wasn't going to have any medical insurance nor my medicines. Now, this is a federally run Social Security office, okay? And I had been diagnosed by what I would assume to be competent and fully licensed doctors within this area of Utah County, Utah, USA. And so I'm coming to you because I want you to know exactly what is happening here, that fraud is truly being committed to me in this very moment. Now, let's say, for instance, that this inheritance is coming to me. Of course, I'd rather have my inheritance than my benefits, for sure. I don't want to take them if I have the money to not take the benefits. But let's say, for instance, I don't get my inheritance, okay? Even if I don't qualify, for whatever reason, which I do, legally I do, for SSDI, I would still qualify for Social Security. There's no way out of this, because I still qualify for Social Security. It's so obvious what is happening to me. So very obvious. And I have not committed fraud. I was diagnosed by more than one competent oncologist about my case. I wasn't bothering anyone. I wanted to sing and be happy till the day I died. I know Heavenly Father loves me. I don't feel guilty about anything that they want me to feel guilty about at all. I know He loves me. I know He does. And I know I'm not perfect. but he knows exactly what I have been up against and the fraud that's being committed in my state. And I'm coming to you. I'm coming to the people because, of course, police are involved. The government is working against me because they know that I am trying to get help. And they know what they're doing is wrong. President Trump, what's happening here is deeply wrong. And I am working on my craft and my skills. I am working. They took my truck away. Even if I wanted to go out and find a job, I have no way to get there, okay? Now, you know, I know that the Lord is with me. I know that he loves me and that he has given me an opportunity to warn you and to tell you what truly is happening in our environment, right under our noses. And what they're doing to me is so illegal and so unconstitutional to allow these people to defame my character, pretend to steal my identity. All of the horrific things that they have been doing. And I've got proof of it. And so I am just, what else would you have me say? At this moment, I'm grateful for social media and that I get to tell what's happening to me in real time today, what is happening. Now everybody seems to want to talk about a love story that I no longer am invested in whatsoever and haven't been for eons of time. I haven't been married for eons of time. I left my last ex in 2008. Our divorce was final in 2013 in the 4th District Court in American Fork. I only have seen or spoke to him one time in 2012, and that was in court. That's it. Okay? Now, I have no problem putting my hand on a Bible and testifying under oath in front of a court with a fair judge, since going to court and defending my rights is my constitutional right that you have all taken away from me. You cannot trick me out of what's going on here. You cannot fool me or intimidate me because I'm telling you the truth and I don't have any problem whatsoever testifying it to the truth of exactly what it is I'm saying. God help you, because the day is coming very, very soon and you will see the truth of what I'm expressing to you today. Everyone knows I was diagnosed with this illness. Everyone knows I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Everyone knows I have a nephew that's a doctor that would be able to, along with any other doctor, to violate HIPAA laws and change medical records and call me a liar when they know I'm not. I know for a fact. There's just no way. And I've got the scars to prove it. I probably still have the Verzenio. To prove to you, why would a doctor give me Verzenio in the first place if I wasn't diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer? Okay? And I'm being attacked because I have the audacity to still be alive. I don't know why. But to do this to me and give me no chance whatsoever to even adjust to whatever it is they're trying to do. They want to make it to where I can't buy food or shelter. That's the point. Because remember that even if I didn't qualify for SSDI, I would still, at my age, absolutely qualify for Social Security benefits. Keep that in mind. Thank you for hearing me. You need to really pay attention because I'm telling you, you think it's just me and maybe you don't care about me, and that's fine. But if it happens to one of us or a few of us, it's just about 2 minutes away from happening to you. We have a Constitution of the United States of America. That is our only protection between ourselves and the government. And I can surely attest to my great gratitude for my constitutional rights that protect me from villains in community and in government. God be with you. And dear Lord, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who have trespassed against us. But lead us not into temptation, and deliver us, O Lord, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.